All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to our presentation here real quick. And what would a Salesforce presentation be without a quick forward-looking statement? Make all your purchasing decisions based on what's available today. Nothing looking forward, but we shouldn't be getting into too much forward stuff today. So this is voice-assisted analytics in Salesforce using Google Home. I am Randy Wilson. I'm a developer at salesforce.org.
And my name is Kofi Johnson, and I'm also a developer at salesforce.org.
So you may be thinking, why would you try to access Salesforce from a Google Home? And it's sort of a funny story now. So Kofi, over the holidays, was talking with one of his friends about buying one, and his friend was entirely not sold on the idea of it. You know, he was saying, like, why are you going to waste money on another device? Like, what is the Google Home going to do for you other than tell you the weather? Just use your phone, save the money. You don't need one. So for Kofi, this grew into a challenge, not only to prove his friend wrong and buy one, but also to be able to build something of value with it and to show his friend, hey, like, the Google Home is good for other things. And so today we know that voice-controlled speakers like the Google Home and the Alexa are becoming increasingly prevalent in a home environment. As we see increases in technology with machine learning and natural language processing, there is real value to them. So Kofi started thinking about business value in the terms of a Salesforce context and how the Google Home could be leveraged to provide both value in a home and a business context. So in a Salesforce context, what if you had a dynamic report in a presentation and could be able to change that data live? Or what if you could filter a report by just using your voice? So today, we'll be showing you how to connect a test version of Google Assistant with your own Google Home, how to create a custom dialogue flow to give meaning and intent to your words, and how to use key phrases to display dynamic reports from within your Salesforce org. And now for the demo, which will be enlightening, of course. Yeah, go ahead. All right.
By the way, the mic is on mute. To unmute it, press the button on the back of Google Home. The mic's back on.
Good. Hey, Google, talk to my Salesforce reports.
Okay, let's get the test version of my Salesforce reports.
I think it's not.
Which report would you like to see?
Open the accounts by type report.
I think it's not showing.
Displaying the report accounts by type.
You have to do
Maybe.
it.
I couldn't hear what you've just said. Displaying the report accounts by type.
Open the accounts by type report.
Displaying the report accounts by type.
There you go. Now, filter it where the rating equals warm.
The report know where the rating equals warm does not exist.
I'll say OK.
Right, sorry. Open the accounts by type report and filter it by rating equals warm.
The report the accounts by type report and
It's a little
filter it
sensitive
by
sometimes.
rating equals warm does not exist.
Open the report accounts by type where the rating is warm.
The report the counts by type with a rating is warm does not exist.
Show the sales by industry report.
Displaying the report sales by industry.
Show the sales by industry report for amount greater than $100,000.
Displaying the report
There we
sales by
go.
industry. The mic is muted.
So it can be a little tricky sometimes. But in the first example, we were attempting to focus in on where the accounts were only filtered by warm. And if it would have understood, would have filtered live in the second example. And then we were able to pivot and show a different report and used a subset of the available sales data to represent the amount field. And now Kofi's going to demonstrate how to build this.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. So you may wonder what's happening in the background during the demo. So this is the big picture. First, Randy tells Google something like, show the sales by industry report for amount greater than $100,000, right? Then Google takes that voice and send it back to Actions on Google. So what is Actions on Google? Actions on Google it's a platform that lets developers build a Google Home or a Google Assistant platform application. And in this case, we have built a Google Assistant application that takes the input from the user, like report name and filter, and send it back to Heroku. So on Heroku side, we have another application that gets that data and parses that, get the report name and the filter, and send it back to a web service in Salesforce. When the web service in Salesforce get that data, it query the database to make sure that this data exists in Salesforce, and you can hear that sometimes it doesn't get the data. Then it publishes what's called platform event. Have you ever worked with platform events? Mm-hmm. It's pretty new, awesome. It's pretty new feature. So we have created a visual first page in Salesforce that always listens to that platform event. And every time you get that data, we publish that platform event, and the visual first page show the report name. So it's pretty simple. So you may wonder, why do we have Heroku in the middle? You don't really need that. You can, from Actions on Google, call straight Salesforce. But we need Heroku here because when Actions on Google send data to the webhook, it sends a bunch of information, which is, like, in most of cases, like, really good. But we don't want to pass all those data or all those big JSON on Salesforce side. And the second reason is Actions on Google actually has a Node.js SDK that gives you all the, like, a lot of great stuff where you can parse easily the data and do all that cool stuff. So that's why we use Heroku here. So I'm going to show you quickly how you can build a Google Assistant app. So we use something called Dialogflow. Dialogflow is a Google Cloud Platform product that allows developers to build a Google Cloud Assistant application. And here we have two main concepts. The first one is entities. So what is entities? Entities is any key information that you want the user, or that you want to get from the user input. So like here we have the report name, and also we have filter. So you have two kinds of entities. There are default entities that are provided by default by the platform, and there are developer entities. And here we have created only one developer entity, which is the filter operator. So on the other hand, you have what's called intent. So intent it's a mapping between what the user wants to do and like an action that you want to trigger. And here we have three intent. You have the default one that runs every time that the application starts. Then we have the input unknown entities. So these entities run every time you say something to Google and it doesn't know what to do. So it's kind of like catch exception, right? So you give a better user experience to for the application. And the last one, the key one, is show report. Thank you. So how you build intent? The Dialogflow products platform give you something called training phrases. So that means you provide, they say best practice is 10 phrases. So you provide 10 kind of phrases that the user will say, but there is AI behind that will learn more. You provide more phrases if you learn from that. And as you can see, in the phrases, we have like some highlighted word or expressions. Those are the entities. Those are the key information that we want to send back to the webhook that you want created. And if you go down, you will see that for this intent, instead of providing a default action, we tell this intent to call a webhook. And how to know that webhook? It's here. And we can see it's a Heroku app URL. So every time someone say triggers that intent, it will call this URL with the key information that we want. I mean by key information, the report name and also the filter. So on Heroku side, it's pretty straightforward. We have a web server. We use Node.js, but you can use anything you want. That get a post data. Then we call an action. So the action here is pretty straightforward, right? So you can see we use the Dialogflow library, npm library, and it gets the report name and also the filter. Then at the end, it call back Salesforce just with the right data that Salesforce need. Yeah, so here we are doing the call. So what's happened on Salesforce side? I can show you quickly. So on Salesforce side, so this is like really basic web service that we built just for the purpose of this demo. It gets the request, and the request is pretty straightforward. So you can see this is the wrapper of the request, is the name of the report, and also the filter, which is another kind of wrapper. And it queries Salesforce to get the actual report that we want to display. And if it found that, if it finds the report, it publishes here a platform event. And we have a Visualforce page here that's always listen to that platform event. And we use the standard library, comment D library for the platform event. And every time you get the message, and that message will contain the report name and also the filter, it just shows the report on Salesforce side using these components analytic report chart. So it's pretty straightforward. So last thing is how you want to, let's say you build the app on Google Assistant. You want to test that, right? Google actually provides a simulator that you can use to easily do this testing. And you can use that by using the integration. And this is the simulator. It gives you everything that you want to use on the Google Home. And it goes even further. It gives you the JSON that is sent to your webhook and also what is returned back. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Kofi. That's great. So what are some other ideas of things you can build with Google Home besides this example that we've showed you here today? First of all, there are code-free changes that you can make. Pretty much any additional reports that you'd like to add. On the Google Home side, we're using the system entity any. So you can add in any report. If the report exists on the Salesforce side, it'll query for it. If it doesn't, it'll return that report doesn't exist, as we also demoed sort of unintentionally for you here today. You can also use similar queries in your report filtering. So let's say you've already built out a greater than X amount field, and you also have another report that uses that amount field that will also apply in that scenario. But just be careful with relationship fields. It's a little bit different in how it works on the Salesforce side. There are also Salesforce code enhancements that you can take a look at changing, such as advanced filtering of a report, pretty much anything else you'd like to filter by. Today we demoed for you equals and greater than, but other filter operations would also work. You would just code for it on both the Google Home side and also on the Salesforce side to catch for that. And beyond just using a Visualforce page, there are also text responses that you could build out for. So you could ask the Google Home, what is my largest opportunity for this week? Then that information will be sent over to Salesforce, a query would run, and then it would return information such as your largest open opportunity this week is the Grand Hotels generator installation as a quick text response versus having to have the Visualforce page that we showed for you today. There are also other Salesforce actions that you could perform, such as you could open a new Visualforce page, you could navigate to see a specific record, you could even use the utility API and the Lightning console to navigate around within like the Lightning experience. And for our middleware, there are also Heroku enhancements that we did a little bit of troubleshooting with, and are a couple ideas that we'd like to provide, such as using a different org. Let's say you're an ISV and you want to be able to accurately access different customers' data. You could program in that entity on the Google Home side, and then the specific Salesforce proxy URL will be selected in the Heroku middle side. And please note here that we're not really addressing authentication. That's kind of a different presentation. You would most likely handle this on the Salesforce side with sharing roles or any other creative solutions you have to address that, which leads us to our conclusions.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. So there are a lot of examples on web where you can find integration between a voice device and Salesforce, right? But usually it's only voice-to-voice interaction. And for this demo, what we want is we want to go further than that. We want to show, like, when users say something to the Google Home, show something on the dashboard. So we were able to do that by using the new feature Salesforce has, the platform event. That is pretty cool. And the goal of this presentation is pretty straightforward, but the goal is to inspire you so you can build a lot of good, crazy ideas, and we are really excited to see what you will build in the future. Thank you very much for attending. And there are a lot of, we have all the code on GitHub for Heroku, for the dialog flow as well, and for Salesforce. So yeah, go ahead and play with that and make some cool things. Thank you.